pain, sickness, or suffering you are dealing with, there is joy to be found all around you, and you just have to look for it.
I share my story because I want to change the way that people think about illness.
I share my story in hopes that it will help others with fibromyalgia feel less alone.
I share my story because I want to debunk the myth that only old people get arthritis.
I share my story because we simply can't afford to drop the ball on talking about men's health.
One of the best things that we can have when we're feeling alone or in the dark is company.
My hope is to educate,
inspire others, and give them hope.
You are not alone.
I share my story to show the reality of living with a rare and misunderstood illness.
I share my story because I want to show the world that not all chronic diseases are visible.
I share my story because people with all types of diabetes and heart disease deserve support.
We share our story to help others benefit from what we've learned.
One story at a time, one patient journey at a time. That's why I support WEGO Health.
The way that you live life to the fullest and love other people, that is what makes you who you are.
I share my story because I owe it to my community.
By sharing my story, I've reached out to thousands of individuals and helped them share their own stories.
Don't waste your time looking for how you got it. All you have to do is to survive.
I will continue to stand up and speak out and share my story to break the stigma of epilepsy.
To me, surviving means remembering those who didn't and living every day of my life in search of why I did.
Not only have I been able to empower others, they in turn have continued to empower me.
I share my story so others know that they are not alone, so they feel empowered, encouraged, and supported.
I share my story because it helps raise more awareness
and I believe that stories are the reasons why we overcome stigma as well.
I share my story because I believe that all experiences matter and should count for something.
I share my story to save lives by letting everyone know about the less common and complex condition called neuroendocrine cancer.
I thought that maybe through sharing information I could help others.
I share our story because I don't want other families to have to go through what we went through.
I share my story.
I share my story.
I share my story.
I'm sharing my story.
I share 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 my story.
We share our story because we want to empower patients around the world.
I share my story because people need to hear there's life after diagnosis, and it can be a great one.